Okay, so I guess if I'm going to start, you guys worked together on The World's End, and I was wondering, I suppose you went into Hector pretty soon afterwards, right?
It's right afterwards. It was really nice to finish The World's End and say, okay, see you next week.
I remember saying to you, like, in the rehearsals for The World's End, we were about to spend 6 months together because we had 2 consecutive movies to do. And it was kind of exciting because it meant that when we came to the end of The World's End, the end of any film is always a bittersweet because you get this little family and then you have to say goodbye to everybody. We knew we'd be seeing each other again, which was really nice.
Yes.
You know?
So it was like, yeah, I'll see you later.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and it definitely benefited. You know, it was the right order to do them in too, because obviously The World's End, you know, we're not together, as it were, and Sam is not a big fan of Gary. And, but then, you know, we sort of, they have a, you think? They had a sort of, they had an affection for each other by the end, and obviously we had our sort of Casablanca moment of saying we will always have the disableds. So then we sort of left it there and picked it up again in Vancouver as a sort of codependent, very nerdy couple who are so sort of entwined.
I remember sending a picture to Edgar Wright of Hector and Clara together in a very sort of romantic pose, saying this is like the bizarro World's End, where Gary King was actually a cool,
happy ending.
Yeah, he was a good guy.
Yeah. So it was kind of coincidental then that you guys ended up together on the movie, was it?
Well, I actually knew about Hector before I knew about The World's End.
Did you?
I think, yes.
I knew, because Rosamund's name was being bandied around for Hector. We always wanted her for The World's End because we'd done the read-through and we just loved her. And we weren't sure because of scheduling and various reasons that she'd be able to do the movie. Fortunately, that we lucked out there. And so when it came up for Hector, it was like, oh, yes, please, that'd be great. And we were very lucky.
I think I think movies like this are pretty popular in that everybody kind of has that moment, I guess, where they're like, what's my life all about? Where am I going? And why do you think movies like this strike such a chord, though, with audiences? I mean, do you think it's just the natural part of life for everybody to just kind of wonder, you know, where are we going? What are we doing? Am I happy?
It's now, isn't it? I mean, you can't open a newspaper without somebody suggesting, you know, that it's in this supplement, or it's eating this way, or it's this exercise regime, or it's wearing this or that, or going on this holiday destination that's going to make you happy. And you know, it's the currency, it's the sort of...
the whole of society, the whole of our society now is about happiness. Now that we don't have to survive on a daily basis, now that we're not being, you know, hunted by starvation, or in an affluent society, everything is geared towards creating these sort of like versions of happiness, when really none of it can give you happiness. Nothing that you can buy or experience unless you have it kind of there. And I think that the big question is are you able to be happy, or are you happy?
Sure.
It's and it's surely the most important question there is, in a way, because you have a short time on this earth. That's all you get, and you're going to kind of want to enjoy it, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, to me, I think the reason I responded so well to the movie, because I really liked it, was that it was a truly kind of open-hearted movie, I guess, and I feel like audiences are really cynical these days.
They are,
right?
Yes.
And do you find that that's a bit of an uphill battle when you're doing something like this, just to make it so that it's not, you know, too cynical when you're watching it, because it's almost Capra-esque, you know, or
well, exactly, and It's a Wonderful Life is a film that had a similar reaction. Back in the UK, there was a real kind of like, oh no, we don't like this kind of thing reaction to it, because I think it is very open. There was even this sort of first-year film student thing saying, oh, well, it's racist, isn't it, because they're showing Africa's like this place where there are zebras and stuff. It's like the point of the film, and it disappointed me that there was such a reductive reading of it, is that Hector is like a child, and the way that the film is presented is like as if a child is telling you a story. So it's Hector's inner child, and the way he sees the world is like the Orient is mystical and tempting. Africa's the dark continent. LA is all hippies, and it's this kind of, it's told in grand, broad strokes, these archetypes. And also it's very emotionally raw and open, and it's about, maybe love can exist. And people are so desperately terrified to admit that might happen that they close themselves off and become very miserable, curmudgeonly people, most of whom are critics in the UK.